Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual. My name is Utsaf Parekh and here are the top stories of the day. Israeli forces launched fresh airstrikes on Gaza yesterday. At least 91 Palestinians were killed and dozens were wounded. Israeli jets also dropped leaflets on neighbourhoods ordering residents to evacuate. Talks of an extended ceasefire between Israel and Hamas have stalled. The 2 months of relative calm in Gaza ended after Israel restarted its attacks on Tuesday. Hamas has fired rockets into Israel following Israel's resumption of ground operations in Gaza. Hamas said it launched 3 projectiles at Tel Aviv. Israel's missile defenses blocked one rocket while the others crashed into unpopulated land. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has fired the country's security chief. Ronen Bar, the head of the Shin Bet agency, has been dismissed. Netanyahu said he had lost faith in Bar after the Hamas attack on October 7, 2023. Protests and rallies continued for the second straight day in Turkey. The arrest of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's main political rival, Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, has triggered unrest in the country. İmamoğlu has been detained over charges of corruption and aiding a terror group. His supporters call the charges politically motivated. They say İmamoğlu's detention is undemocratic. French President Emmanuel Macron plans to hold a fresh round of Ukraine truce talks. They will take place in Paris next week. The meeting will focus on securing a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky will be present. Other leaders who back Kiev will also be in attendance. London's Heathrow airport has come to a standstill. This is after a fire broke out at a nearby electrical substation. The fire triggered a major power outage. Over 1,300 flights have been diverted so far. The Heathrow shutdown is expected to last at least a day. US President Donald Trump has dismantled his country's education department. He signed an executive order to begin eliminating the US Department of Education. Trump called the government agency ineffective. The US Congress still needs to approve this decision, though, for it to come into effect. People targeting Tesla vehicles in the US will face severe charges. The warning was issued by US Attorney General Pam Bondi. At least 3 people who have not been identified are accused of vandalizing Tesla vehicles. The US Justice Department plans to sentence the vandals to a minimum of 5 years in prison. North Korea has conducted a new round of missile tests. These new weapons are being called anti-aircraft missiles by North Korean state media. The country's leader, Kim Jong-un, oversaw the test. He hailed it, saying North Korea's army would be equipped with another defensive weapon. Violent protests erupted outside Indonesia's parliament yesterday. This was after the country passed a controversial bill. It allows military personnel to hold more government roles. Indonesia's President Prabowo Subianto pushed for amending the country's armed forces law. He is a former military general. Indonesian protesters fear a return to the era of late dictator Suharto, who Prabowo once served. In climate news, wildfires are raging across several southern US states. They're being fueled by dry conditions and strong winds. The fires have forced evacuations and road closures. In Texas, about 900 homes were evacuated as the fire spread near Houston. Meanwhile, a large Florida brush fire shut down a major highway. Fires were also reported in Arkansas, prompting elevated fire warnings in multiple regions. The Spanish capital, Madrid, was on high alert as the Manzanares River risked overflowing. This is because of a storm hitting the city. Heavy rains led to flooding and road closures. Storm Martinho is expected to continue affecting central Spain. Recent storms have ended a prolonged drought in the country. Spanish reservoirs are now at over 65% capacity, with water being released to prevent overflows. A UNESCO report revealed that glaciers worldwide are melting faster than ever. The past 3 years have seen the highest glacier mass loss on record. Scientists warn that glaciers could vanish within the century, accelerating sea level rise and threatening freshwater supplies. A new study finds that soil, river sediment, and dead vegetation store more human-produced carbon dioxide than trees. The study challenges long-held beliefs about CO2 mitigation. The research suggests that non-living carbon pools like soil and decaying wood offer a more stable, long-term carbon sink. With forests under threat from deforestation and climate change, scientists say that this discovery could reshape climate politics and policies. A jury ruled that the environmental group Greenpeace must pay about $667 million in damages. They must pay this fine to a pipeline company called Energy Transfer. This is for Greenpeace's role in protests against the Dakota Access Pipeline in the U.S. The lawsuit accuses Greenpeace of funding unlawful demonstrations and spreading misinformation. The verdict included damages for defamation, trespassing, and conspiracy. Greenpeace denied any wrongdoing and vowed to appeal the verdict, calling the case an attack on free speech. Now on to business and tech news. Gold rate saw a third straight weekly gain amid geopolitical and economic uncertainties. While spot gold fell by 0.5%, bullion reached an all-time high, marking a climb of about 1.5% this week. US President Donald Trump has pushed the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates. He said that the Fed would be much better off cutting rates as US tariffs start to transition their way into the economy. Trump said this after the US Central Bank said it would keep rates unchanged for now. Elon Musk has been summoned by a U.S. court. This is in connection with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's lawsuit against him. The agency accused Musk of waiting too long to disclose that he had amassed a large stake in Twitter in 2022. U.S. safety regulators have recalled thousands of Tesla Cybertrucks. This is due to concerns about parts of the electric vehicle's trim falling off. This marked the Cybertruck's 8th and largest ever recall. The issue has affected more than 46,000 trucks made since November 2023. Nike has predicted a steeper than expected drop in its fourth quarter revenue. The company's share prices fell by nearly 5% after the solemn forecast. Zara has opened its new style Asia flagship store in China's eastern city of Nanjing. Zara owner Inditex hopes to cut underperforming shops globally and double down on larger retail formats. The Malaysia Aviation Group has said that it will purchase 30 new Boeing 737 aircraft. Malaysia Airlines' parent company said that the decision to buy Boeing 737s was taken after an extensive evaluation. Reports say that Apple is reportedly losing over $1 billion every year on its streaming service, Apple TV+. Apple has spent $5 billion a year on Apple TV Plus content since its launch in 2019. However, the company reduced spending by about $500 million last year. The European Union's antitrust regulators have hit Google with 2 charges. The tech giant has been on the agency's radar for its practices on the App Store Google Play. EU regulators said that Google prevents app developers from freely steering consumers to other channels. Google is also being charged for favoring its own services over rivals. NVIDIA has announced that it will open a quantum computing research lab in Boston in the US. The announcement was made by the company's CEO at NVIDIA's annual Software Developer Conference yesterday. Moving to sports news, we start with cricket. The Indian Cricket Board, the BCCI, announced a $6.72 million cash reward for the Champions Trophy winning India squad. Previously, global cricketing body ICC had announced a cash prize of $2.24 million for the Champions Trophy winners, as well as a $34,000 prize for each match won. India beat New Zealand by 4 wickets in the title clash in Dubai on March 9th. In football, Japan became the first team to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup after beating Bahrain 2-0 in Saitama. Second half goals from Daichi Kamada and Takefusa Akubo ensured the coveted place for the Samurai Blue. After football, good news came for Japan in tennis as well. This is as former women's world number 1 Naomi Osaka progressed in the Miami Open. The Japanese player beat Russia's Ludmila Samsonova 6-2, 6-4 in their round of 32 clash. The 2022 Miami Open finalist held off a very last-minute surge by her opponent to close off the match in 1 hour and 22 minutes. Argentine tennis player Francisco Comesana was spotted lighting a cigarette during his qualifying match in the Miami Open. The incident took place after he won the opening set of the match. Upon retiring to his seat, he took a quick drag in the middle of the match and he even asked the chair umpire for a lighter. This incident has triggered a disciplinary row in the Miami Open. In badminton, Indian qualifier Shankar Subramanian shocked men's world number 2 Anders Antonsen to reach the quarterfinals of the Swiss Open. The 64-ranked Indian defeated Antonsen 18-21, 21-12, 21-5 to secure the coveted win. The men's singles match lasted just an hour and 6 minutes. In women's doubles, India's top pair of Trisa Jolly and Gayatri Gopichand entered the Swiss Open quarterfinals. The Indian pair progressed to the last 8 with a straight game victory over their German opponents. And amid fresh highs achieved by new age Indian shuttlers in Switzerland, there came a critical setback for India's PV Sindhu. The 2-time Olympic medalist suffered yet another early exit. Sindhu lost to Denmark's Julie Jacobsen 17-21, 19-21 in the first round of the Swiss Open. The defeat marks the star Indian shuttler's 3rd consecutive first-round exit of the year. In Formula One, Lando Norris set the pace during the sole practice session at the Chinese Grand Prix. The McLaren driver topped the timesheets ahead of Ferrari's Charles Leclerc and teammate Oscar Piastri. Eddie Jordan, the flamboyant former Formula One team owner and television pundit, died at the age of 76. The Irishman, who had aggressive prostate cancer, died in the early hours of Thursday morning. His team, Jordan, which made its debut in 1991, won 4 Grand Prix in its 15 years in the sport, before suffering declining fortunes and being sold in the year 2005. Former Olympic champion swimmer from Zimbabwe, Christy Coventry, was elected the president of the International Olympic Committee. The 2-time Olympic gold medalist is the first woman ever to govern the global sports body. The 41-year-old beat her nearest competitor by a margin of 21 votes. In entertainment news, Blake Lively has asked a U.S. judge to dismiss Justin Baldoni's $400 million defamation lawsuit. She called it a baseless attempt to retaliate against her claims of sexual harassment. The legal battle began after Lively accused Baldoni of misconduct during the filming of the movie It Ends With Us. Baldoni countersued, alleging that she orchestrated a smear campaign against him. Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17 is shaping up to be a financial disaster for Warner Brothers. The projected losses are between $75 million to $80 million. Starring Robert Pattinson, the sci-fi film has grossed $92.2 million worldwide, but it's far from breaking even at its estimated $300 million threshold. While post-theatrical revenue may help, the film's underwhelming box office performance will likely impact its future licensing deals. Despite Gilmore Girls gaining a new wave of popularity on Netflix, Lauren Graham revealed that she receives no residuals from the streaming platform. Graham joked in an interview that she's been paid in love instead. The show's continued success has expanded its fan base, but like many actors from the pre-streaming era series, Graham sees little financial benefit from its ongoing viewership. David Costabile will return as Daniel Hardman in Suits LA. He will be joining fellow original cast members Gabriel Macht and Rick Hoffman in the new spin-off series. Details about Hardman's role in the storyline remain under wraps, but fans can expect him to bring his signature brand of legal chaos to the latest Suits universe installment. Neil Young has cancelled a planned free concert in Ukraine due to security concerns. The musician, who had hoped to perform ahead of his European tour, cited the changing situation on the ground as his reason for pulling out. Young expressed regret over the cancellation. He called Ukraine a great country with a good leader and signed off with Slava Ukraini. That's all for this episode of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching and stay tuned to First Post.